thought this weekend was one of the best weekends we've had all season, just in all phases of the game. With pitching was dominant, hitting was explosive, defense was sharp and clean. I felt we turned, we were on the process of turning a corner. I think we turned it. I was really pleased with what I saw.
Yeah, we'll start with Eric Bailey.
Patty, thanks for your time today. Appreciate it. Wanted to ask you just what you guys experienced last year with the strong start, the unbeaten start last year. How much has that experience really helped the returning players this year, understanding what it is to go through when you start a season unbeaten like this?
Yeah, I have so many returners, and I have some really solid leaders. And the one thing that you just don't hear anybody talking, no one, including myself, no one talks about a record. No one, we just don't talk about it. All we try to do is get better. We're not trying to break records or milestones or anything like that. We really aren't. We don't talk about those things. Even with Jossie's home run race, it wasn't something we really talked about. We just knew it was happening. They're aware that we're undefeated. I know that. And whether they look ahead and think about, well, wow, we could get to whatever the number is, I don't think they're a team that does that. I don't feel that, at least. So I don't see it being an issue, quite honestly.
Okay. Also, I asked some of the players this last week, but when you play on the road, especially like a big road series that you have coming up this week, how much playing on the road really galvanized the teams in terms of being together, having that bond, that chemistry, and having kind of a us against the world mentality?
I think the memories that I have from the past, a lot of the memories come from games in Texas specifically. There's just an energized, loud, abrasive crowd. And so your team can either panic and be afraid of that or intimidated, or bow up. And the Sooners have had a history of bowing up in those big situations. And I've had a lot of teams that really love playing on the road. When you walk into somebody's place and you're supposed to be an underdog, I've had some teams that really thrive in that. I don't think this team is going to be nervous, afraid, intimidated, scared, afraid to lose. They're not thinking that way. This is another big weekend for us, going to be tougher because it's on the road, but they love those moments. They're looking forward to some tough challenges and good games and adversity along the way.
Patty, thanks a bunch. Have a good week and have a good Easter, okay?
You too. Thank you.
We'll go to Abby Bitterman.
Yeah, Patty, kind of along the lines of Eric's first question, not even this year, but just in recent history, this program has broken a lot of records. Just what have you done to kind of help this program sustain that level of success?
I don't know that I'm being different than I normally am. I'm very demanding. I am looking for excellence. I'm trying to push every player to the limit. A lot of times I don't get it, and that's when they hear me. So at practice, I push and I push and I push. If I don't like something, we'll do it over again. If someone isn't hustling, I take them out of the field, off the field, until I'm ready to bring them back in. I'm just demanding that way, and they understand what I'm doing. And it's just, I mean, if we're going to wear championship mindset logos all over everything that we own, then we better know what it means. And that's what it means, is just sustaining your eyes on excellence and maintaining that effort at practice, coming to practice ready to compete harder than you do at a game. And because some of the best, the way we get our best is at practice, because we're able to face our pitching staff. Our pitchers are facing our hitters. So to me, the thing I like the most at times is practice, because it's very competitive and people are fighting for positions. You got Jocelyn Allo facing Jordy Ball. I wish I could put it on video and live stream it so you could see it. It's incredible to watch the intensity and the will to win on both sides. And that is what we try to capture every practice that we can. It's just this competitive edge, fight, challenge, will to win.
Thank you, Patty.
You got it.
I will go Joey Homer.
Hi, Patty. How are you?
Good, good.
Yeah, the last time you guys were in Austin, I think Grace was a freshman and she made that great diving play in the first game of the series. I think for some people, maybe that was a bit of a coming out party for her on the national stage. You had seen it, of course, how great she could be defensively, but what do you remember about that play and how would you say that kind of catapulted her and her career?
I think that's just Grace being Grace. I mean, I've seen her do that at practice. It's, it's just when the game is on the line, you really can count on her to make some big plays. So I don't know that had a lot to do with her, being known. I don't know. I just know that Grace Lyons right now has the mindset I wish that every player could have. And that is, I am confident. I believe in what I'm doing. I am not fearful, zero anxiety, zero focus on result, very much process oriented. And she can walk away from a game not feeling too high or too low. And she just has a really wonderful neutral balance about what she's doing that allows her to do it so freely. And I think it's taken her a while to get there. She's always kind of been like that, but her offense is showing that she's living in that world right now. When athletes can live in that world and not take things home and not lose sleep over it, not just entangle their brains with clutter. She's very clean like that. She's just really fun to watch right now. And offensively, she's gone to a whole nother level. And she's become one of our big power hitters now, which is, I'll take another one anytime. So she has really helped solidify this lineup, the top five. She's really plugged herself in there and done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I will go Jenny Carlson.
Hey, Patty. I actually have kind of a historical question, I guess. We're coming up on the 50th anniversary of Title IX, and I'm curious if you could reflect back on, what you recall of the early days of the legislation and just, you were very young at the time, but do you recall it? What do you think the early days of Title IX brought to women's and girls sports?
I think Title IX brought some anger from the male side, and from the female side, just hopeful that we get a little more respect, we get a little more dollars towards what we're doing, that we're being taken more seriously. And I'm sitting here talking to you, looking at our stadium and knowing that in 2 years, we're going to have a $35 million stadium. And it's just hard for me to fathom, because when I came here, we started at Reeves Park and picking up dirty diapers and beer cans before we come out to practice, or, cleaning up the park before we had a weekend series. So we went from Reeves Park, a slow pitch, no one really takes much care of it, park, to, it's been amazing just in my time here. But prior to that, it was brutal, to where girls, okay, you come to the gym and you practice at 6 a.m. because the guys got the entire afternoon. So if you want to practice in a gym, come at 6 a.m. Otherwise, you can go play on the blacktop over at the elementary school, because the guys, JV and varsity, are going to be in the gym. And that's just the way it is. You don't fight over it. You just make do of what you have. And that's the way it had been for so long. Even when I was playing in high school and so forth, it was always like that. You were always second.
How much do you feel like, I mean, you alluded to what you're looking at right now, but what you also see happening in the future. Obviously, it's not just you all with softball, but the other women's sports at OU. But I mean, obviously, you guys have to care most about what's happening in front of you, but it feels like what's happened there is as much a success story for Title IX more nationally as maybe any. What do you feel like what you've done there has meant for OU, but also more broadly, what has OU's overall women's success meant?
Yeah. Well, winning opens people's eyes. So we're here at Marita Hines Field and we had no indoor. So we had to go, we had no indoor. So if we wanted to hit indoor, we would have to hope that football would allow us to get in there and use it. And Coach Stoops was fantastic to work with and all the coaches since. Winning got us an indoor. We won a national championship in 2000, we get a new indoor. If you were to look around the stadium now and walk into our classroom locker room area, you would be miffed. Like, you guys have won 5 national championships and this is what you've got facility wise for your athletes and your coaches. So it's been a long time coming. I think KJ in gymnastics can tell you the same. She's sharing a facility. It's winning takes care of things. That's what I had to learn, is that winning gets you a wish list. Now I think we're proven, both KJ and myself specifically. And I think what's changed everything, to be quite honest, is the fans. Because you can hear my voice and go, okay, coach, everybody wants improvement. Okay, coach, okay. Because every coach in this university and every university everywhere else wants more. We need this, we need that. We're all doing that. But the fans are the ones whose voices are extremely loud, extremely loud. So the fans are saying on whatever platform, OU deserves more. OU needs this. OU needs that. And so much so that here comes the Love family saying, we got you. We got you. We got you, softball. And that, I can't even express what that felt like, because I've always felt as a coach in this job, in this position, that there's just a massive piece to the puzzle that is missing. And that is a legitimate serving all fans stadium. And there have been, and I'm not, it's just the way it is. And I know how football, they need more seating. They need, I understand that. And this promise has been promised and we've been waiting, and just, I'm a blue collar coach, so I don't need a lot. We've been here recruiting this with this stadium for 20, well, we were over at Reeves for 2 years. So 26 years I've been working out of Marita Hines Stadium. It has not cost us recruits. It has not done anything like that. None. So I'm not complaining. And it might sound like I'm not complaining. I do know when you look around at what everyone else is, you're going, hey, wait a minute. Wow, your house is definitely nicer than mine. So how do I upgrade? How do I make improvements? I think 5 championships and fan support has taken this over the top. And I think that the commitment from OU for a new stadium and the commitment from the Love family has called out others in all sports for companies to step forward for women's athletics, for fans knowing their support matters, their voices do matter. And for all administration to say, let's step up for the women. I think it all really came to a head a couple years ago when the women's basketball was at their national championship and there were Twitter feeds of what their weight room looked like. I think that was just, that opened the door to me speaking out loud and many other coaches speaking out loud.
Fantastic. Thank you for all that. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
We'll go James Hale.
This is going to be an interesting game because series, because Texas has been hot and cold. When they've been good, they've been really good. They've had some other games, but you're going to have a sold out crowd. Everybody's going to, they're going to be coming after you. Isn't this a fun thing for you guys, considering what you're going through, that you're going to play in this game and they're going to have a sold out stadium again? And and hey, it's the Longhorns and the Sooners. So isn't that pretty cool for you?
It is very cool. Yeah, we look forward to it. We need it. We need the push. We need the atmosphere against us. And we went to Texas Tech and I'm thinking, okay, I'm telling the team, they're going to have a crowd there. They're going to have, Red Raiders are notorious. Their crowds really, they come at you. When we walk onto the stadium, it's Boomer, Sooner. I'm thinking, this is like being at a home game. The fans came out for it. Sooner fans. I know it's different. I know it's different now. I'm not going in thinking we're going to hear a lot of Boomer Sooner. There will be some parents really trying to get into it, but I know we're going to be overtaken with Longhorn fans. And we have one practice at home to really work on some things to create an atmosphere to get these guys ready. I'm trusting it'll bring out the best in us. The challenge will bring out the best. So this is good for us. It's going to allow me to see where we're really at.
And your pitching staff, you brought back Jordy, started her on Sunday, brought in Nicole in relief. You've talked about having a 3-person staff. Do you still believe in that? Or is it Nicole's going to be in relief? Or do you still believe you have 3 solid starters?
We have 3 solid starters. We have 3 solid middles and 3 solid relievers. It is. I mean, they have been involved in all aspects of the lineup, whether it's start, middle, or finish. So I believe in them wholeheartedly. They've proven it from all angles. So I wouldn't be afraid to start Nicole May in any game, knowing what we have to help. I wouldn't be afraid to, obviously throw Hope because we know what we have to help. So it's a very solid staff that, they love the pressure just as much. So I'm really, really looking forward to this weekend.
Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll go Joe Bentner.
Hey, Patty, you mentioned answering Jenny's question about how facilities haven't affected recruiting. You've obviously recruited really well. I'm curious, though, what those, obviously there's still a process to getting those recruits. What are those conversations like with whether it be JT or Coach Rocha? I'm curious, just how do you combat that when you've been winning championships, but to keep getting players, is it just a matter of winning, or do you have to approach recruiting in a different way when you don't have those facilities and resources?
Yeah, I think recruiting for us is just about connection and relationships. And truly, if you're a player that doesn't want to come here because you don't think our stadium is good enough, then you probably don't fit this program anyway. So what I want from athletes, and I think the athletes that fit here want from us, is how are you going to turn me into a national champion? How are you going to turn me into an All-American? What does that look like? Those are the things that they care about more than anything, and their connection and relationship with our staff. And I think stadiums are selling points, but it's not our main selling point by any means. Will it make a difference? Sure it will once we get it 100%. But I can also tell you that in this stadium, we fit the right amount of people that can change a game. So it may not look all glimmer and glitz, but when you fill it with 1,700 standing room only, they 100% make a difference. And I think the coziness and the closeness of the fans, it's a great experience for them, but it is a game changer for us on the other side as a team. So those are things that matter, and recruits are here and they see the energy from fans and they love that as well. So again, I don't know that I care about having a player who is disappointed in what our stadium looks like.
And just one more thing, just kind of going back, and I'm sorry if you thought you were done talking about the winning streak, but you've navigated quite a few over the past few years, and obviously built OU into a program that can go on these sustained long winning streaks. Has it become easier or harder to manage with players, just as far as, you are, and you've talked about, you're no longer the underdogs, you're in the #1 team in the country. Has it become easier or harder to manage those expectations with players?
I think if it's harder, it might be just because there's so much more for them to look at that I can't control, obviously. So if they're into social media and they're reading about all of this and it starts to click in their head a little bit, and they're thinking more about it, then I have to do a little bit of damage control. But it's hard for me because I don't know what they're looking at. This team, I have not felt them think twice. Like I said, we don't talk about it. We aren't saying like, okay, 8 more games and no, we don't play for records. We don't play for notoriety. We play for rings. We play for rings. We play for national championships. We play for rings. Records are meant to be broken, and so be it. And it's cool. The notoriety is great, but we want to win championships. That's what we're here for.
Thanks, Patty.
You're welcome.
We'll go to Eric Lopez.
Coach, great to talk to you again. As you prepare for Texas and you watch them, what stands out to you about this year's Texas team?
Balance, very good offense. We been looking at them and seeing that their offense is improved without question. So they're very lethal at the plate. They've got some great leadership. Janae Jefferson is one of the best players in the country, and is a obvious leader. Mary Iacopos, another great leader, great hitter, good player. I mean, they've got some really good elders on their team that know how it works. They've got a really good pitching staff as well. I know they've been hit a little bit, but it doesn't seem to bother them because they come back. And I've watched some of that with their Iowa State games. They can manufacture runs. They do run bases very well. So it's going to have to, I look at this series and I think our defense has a lot to do with this. They're going to have to be clean. You can't give them extra bases or free bases because they'll turn those into runs. They've shown that.
You mentioned obviously the atmosphere, and you've obviously talked about some of the great memories you have of this rivalry. What are some of the memorable moments or games that you remember from this rivalry?
Now, look, you're taking me back to where I can't remember stuff very well. So I think Sid Romero and Shea, there was just a really intense series back when they were playing. And I can remember Sid Romero just fired up. There's a little bit of back and forth by each team, a little bit of talk. I do remember 2013 when they had a very bouncy infield. And they were, back in that day, they were kind of choppy team, little slappers, and then some big hitters. And that was the Kehlani Ricketts and her whole crowd. And we were just they were waiting for big home runs, and we were hitting balls in the ground and just bouncing them into the outfield. And we won that first game. And then the next day, the dirt was like practically muddy, wet, to kind of take away that part of our game. So then slappers started hitting balls through the gaps. It was just a thing of beauty to watch how we adjusted to our situations.
Obviously, Kat Ostermer will be doing the commentary for the series. What was it like facing her, and now you've seen her transition from the playing field to the broadcast booth?
Yeah, well, it was absolutely frustrating to face her because there's just no way to beat her. And this is a true story. And this is back in like when she was a freshman. I was having, or maybe a sophomore, I was having players who were left-handed go up right-handed. I'm like, you got no shot as a lefty. Just get on the other side, see what it feels like. I was desperate, absolutely desperate. She was fantastic, and without question, the best pitcher in the world. So I'm sure she brings her knowledge and like her memories and her experiences to the booth are really going to be helpful for those and interesting for those who watch. So I'm excited that she's going to be part of this game because she knows the history about as well as I do.
Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
Last one, Jason Matacchio.
Hey, Coach, thanks for doing this. You've kind of talked about how much talent you have in your pitching rotation. I'm kind of curious how you've kind of managed giving all three of them playing time. Obviously, Jordy's gotten the most in most of those closing situations. How have you kind of managed keeping all of them content and motivated through like having so much talent?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's been difficult. And I think everybody knows that because of run ruling, which is a wonderful problem, but it's also an awful problem for your pitchers. We've lost up to over, I think, 60 plus innings of pitching opportunities for our pitchers. That's a lot of innings. And so that's why practice is so important, that I can have them face some elite hitters here. And I think they have done a really good job of just being a really tight unit, the pitching staff, and they do a really outstanding job with Coach Rocha and preparation and game planning and so forth. And they root for each other, which is a breath of fresh air. They really do root for each other. But a good example is Sunday's game. And I'm thinking, okay, I got to feed Nicole May. I've got to feed Nicole May. I don't want her to think that she's, not worth, starting this game. But I'm trying to give Jordy as much learning opportunity as I can, because she is the greenest of all of them. So I have Jordy throw 2 2/3 innings. And then I bring in Nicole May, who throws 2 1/3, and Nicole May gets the win and is now the Big 12 Player of the Week. And so, like, games she pitched maybe a total of, Patrick, you might know, 7 innings in those 2 games. So it is frustrating for them and for us, and that's why every time we get an opportunity to practice, they're going live and we're pressing them with situations. That's all I can do. Unless I tell the hitters, hey, just swing and miss. We can afford some strikeouts, or try to hit the balls on the ground, try not to hit them out so we can keep the game running. I'm not going to do that. We're just going to have to work off of what we do at practice. That's the best thing we can do right now.
Kind of focusing more on Jordy. I know you've kind of talked about you've kind of had to give her like a challenge every week to kind of give her a chip on her shoulder because that's where she thrives most. What specific things have you kind of done with Jordy to kind of put that chip on her shoulder to keep her at her best? And does more of that come like naturally within the game? And I know you mentioned like illegal pitches, or is it something that you kind of have to manufacture yourself as her coach?
Well, I manufacture a practice for sure. I don't know that the word chip on her shoulder, it's more like she has this such desire to win. So I'll put bases loaded and I'm yelling out the situation, bases loaded, bottom of the seventh, 1 out. Home team, or the home team is up and they're down by 1, 2-1 with 1 out. And I just let it kind of marinate in everybody's head what I'm saying. And then it's her attitude is, you're not beating me. You're not going to beat me. And we just keep running it over and over, different situations that's going to cost her the lead or any of our pitchers the lead. And they bring their best. They bring their best. They rarely do they lose. And you're going, wait a minute, you got the best offense in the country. These pitchers don't lose to this offense very often. It's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic.
Kind of third follow-up, sorry to take your time, but I'm kind of curious, has there been any like memories or funny moments between Jocelyn Allo or Jordy that you can like talk about where they've kind of like went at it just kind of as a friendly kind of team competition thing?
No. Nothing is friendly. No. It is, I'm beating you and I'm beating you. No, you're not. Yes, I am. They play to win. Now at the end, they shake hands and they love each other as teammates. But when it's on the field, it is nothing funny about it. If Jocelyn Allo strikes out, she's ready to break an aluminum bat over her knee. If Jossie hits a home run, Jordy Ball will probably run through the outfield fence. She'll be so upset. It's that kind of unreal energy that you see between two elite competitors. They don't laugh about it, not until it's way, way over. So it's intense to watch. It really is.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.